projects being cancelled in any industry is quite annoying, whether it be for TV shows, movies, games, and anything else that can get cancelled. It's quite irritating, especially when the first installment was clearly amazing and was actually needing and deserving of one. And in this intelligent orangutan video, we'll be focusing on exactly that, but morely on video games. Today we will be talking about the cardinal sin of sequels to good video games getting cancelled. That, or a game that deserved a sequel not even getting in the talking stage of having one. And I'm going to be reviewing these games without spoilers, so if you haven't played any of these, don't worry about it. Alright, let's get right into it. This franchise I'll be talking about has got to not only have one of the best and immersive campaigns to ever exist in gaming in my opinion, but also has some of the most smoothest and timeless movement that no other game has really replicated to the same extent. And if they did, we know where they got it from. And that is the Titanfall series. Although the first game did not have a campaign, the gameplay it brought was still immersive and created the movement that the second game actually adapted and polished. Even with the first installment of the Titanfall series only having multiplayer, it still made you feel like you were in a war and just give that gritty feeling, like as if you yourself were in a mech-controlled war, bro. And that's all that needs to be said for the first game. But the second game, I tell you, which is frankly the better game, had multiplayer just like the first game, but more importantly, had a campaign. It had a great story about this soldier named Jack and a robot, B2, in a large-scale war. And it ultimately led to something so beautiful by the end of the game. I just remember being in awe, and then it just felt like being able to interact with the movie. It was just a great campaign. That in combination with the innovative movement and the mech gameplay from the first game, and just improving upon it, it just made the story mode experience so much better. The writing, the gameplay, pretty much made to be amongst the best and most fun storytelling games of all time, at least in my eyes. The abilities offer such a unique way for you to fight, which legit made me feel like Optimus Prime. It was just such a cool experience to pilot mechs. But all this said, you can only imagine the excitement that many others, including me, back in 2020 and 2021 had when rumors of Titanfall 3 was in development. Just for that excitement to crumble, we got this instead of a third Titanfall game. Yes, Apex Legends did have its time of fun, but it definitely dried up and got boring just as most games do. And how I know hella people would have played Titanfall 3 instead is the abundance of comments saying exactly that.
It's such a crime that there'll never be a Titanfall 3.
I wish we could have Titanfall 3.
Also, concerning the fact that Titanfall 2 has had a recent multiplayer resurgence, tells me that Titanfall 3 is needed badly in the gamer space right now. Alright, next. Sleeping Dogs. I'm not gonna act like I've known about this game since release, but playing this game months back made me realize the peak I was missing out on for a long time. This has grown to be not only one of my favorite of the GTA clones, but one of my favorite video games of all time. The fighting, the exploration, and most importantly, the story of the game is absolutely impeccable. It gave me one of those ethereal and surreal experiences of wanting more after finishing the game. And it's underrated despite it getting a possible movie adaptation. There's only a few games that can make you feel not only attached to the main character, but the side characters as well. The story has damn good writing. You have to use a magnifying glass to actually find people disliking this game. It's that good. I swear I'm not glazing. Okay, let me put a stop to the glaze and remind myself that this game is not getting a sequel. Remember how I mentioned that this game was underrated? Yeah, for a long while, it was too underrated. Despite nowadays the game being a gem in the gaming community, it took time for some people, including me, to realize this game's greatness. So much so that Square Enix ended up making way less than they thought they'd make, which made them not have even considered making a follow-up game. So unfortunate. Truly one of the saddest and discontinuations of all time. Right up there with Overwatch 2. And on the topic of Overwatch 2, let's talk about our next game, Overwatch 2. This one's a special case, because yes, the game did release. It just wasn't what was promised. This one hits a little close to home, I'm not gonna lie, because unlike Titanfall and Sleeping Dogs, I actually followed this game from life to death. And to elaborate on that, for Titanfall 3's cancellation, I only figured it got canceled way later because I just naturally stopped having interest in Titanfall. And then for Sleeping Dogs, like I said, I only figured out about the game's greatness way after release. But this, I followed it from 2016 to now, because I still play this game sometimes, you know. And to give y'all a little intro to the game, Overwatch was a team shooter where each individual had a skill set of abilities, with Overwatch being in the same genre as TF2, being a game that actually paved the way before Overwatch got in. This game really had everything TF2 had, and better. Amazing character design, maps, lore, abilities, art style, and even animated shorts that made the game universe feel alive. And these were all reasons people jumped on this game's train. The release of this game had a really strong start, and this may or may not be an exaggeration, but I swear this game grabbed the attention of 90% of the gamer space during its release. Everyone was playing this game, man. I remember begging my parents to actually buy this game. It's definitely one of my most played games for sure, even till this day. And I know it sounds crazy, but I actually remember having many fond memories and joyful moments playing this game, even when it was rough at times, which is actually quite the contrary with what you would hear players say. And if you ask most gamers who were playing this game after 2017, they'll say it's hell and it was garbage and it was unenjoyable. But dude, I still enjoy this game after 2016 and 2017. I'm not ashamed to say I hop on this game nowadays every now and then, but I can 100% tell you that this game did screw themselves. They quickly started adding characters that made the game unenjoyable, a hellish experience. Things being added and removed that completely ruined the fun of certain characters. And surprise, surprise, that's what derailed this game. The joy that the fanbase had once had for the game turned into quick irritation and anger towards the developers. And the hate didn't stop at the developers. People started hating on the voice actors and actresses of those who voice characters in the game, which is crazy, even though they don't have a single touch in the development process of the game other than voice acting. Crazy. I think it's too far, to be honest. The worst part of the downfall at the time was the fact that this was so avoidable. The developers literally did not address nor add anything that fixed the core issues the fan base had with the game. The community begged and begged for certain stuff to be removed or added. Nothing happened for a long time. And that is until all of that got shoved away on November 1st, 2019, when we got something announced that the community had been asking for a long while. A story mode. At this point in the game's lore, we only had a little taste of the story mode, you know, through like the mini games they had and the animated shorts and even the little dialogues the characters would have in game.
Doomfist, you are truly a worthy foe.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got others on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit.
But it was simply not enough, so you can guess how much this announcement made like the entire fans just stand up out of their seat and invest in this game pretty much. They were ready to grind out a story mode, straight up, the one saving grace of this game. Seeing the gameplay footage, how they were going to expand upon the game, expanding abilities, and having a really nice campaign mode that dove into the lore, pretty much took the core of what people loved about this game and what the draw was in the first place. The universe, the lore. So upon announcement, we anxiously waited. A year went by. 2 years went by. 3 years went by. And then we finally got it, guys. We got Overwatch 2. Full story mode and everything. Wait. No story mode? Only online mode? Isn't that just pretty much Overwatch 1? Oh. Nice. Yep. The worst possible thing for this franchise happened. The final nail in the coffin. They canceled the damn story mode. To put it in easy terms, pretty much the only thing that changed was different character designs. Although Overwatch 2 still gets regular updates, and actually recently received a big one, which addressed a lot of the core issues many had with this game previously, which was unarguably done because of their competitor, Marvel Rivals. I truly do commend them for finally facing these issues, but it was done with the wrong intentions. They saw people leaving their game and they're like, "Oh, let me fix this." But in the eyes of pretty much everyone in the gaming community. Damage was done. They had already killed their own hype. With all this said about Overwatch 2, and Overwatch as a franchise, I still think this game truly never died. At least in the player count. But I do believe it died when it comes to the soul of the game. This game kept on trying to make us happy by giving us new toys or things to play with, but it never truly compared to having a fleshed out story mode, and it ended up just being a slightly glorified version of the first game. I simply don't understand why game companies love money, but their actions don't show it. Because if they truly did in the hardest of hearts, they would listen to the fans. And yeah, I'm not ignorant to the fact that higher-ups in any industry can prevent projects from being pushed out and developed, but it hurts to see a sequel fall through, especially to a good game. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna cut these companies too much slack, because I do understand a situation like Sleeping Dogs, where they thought they would make X amount of money on release, but ended up making not enough. So it doesn't make sense for them to risk creating a second one. But what I don't understand, and what I will not excuse, is situations like Overwatch 2 and Titanfall. It's just inexcusable. They had plenty of fans ready for a fresh hot plate of Peak, but decided to fumble. Alright, see y'all in the next video.